Hi, I'm Megan Price, and welcome to the NBA Carousel, a Sideline Sports Network production proudly sponsored by Score No Score app, available for download in Apple and Google Play Store. Also proudly sponsored by Manscaped. Check out the Inscriber online magazine where you can get all your culture, technology, and sports news provided by Sideline Sports. But let's jump right into the show. We'll have our first rep, Will Vogel, covering the Charlotte Hornets. Hi, Will. How are you?
Hey Megan, good. How are you?
Doing very well. How was your week?
It was how I expected it to go.
All right, all right. So let's jump in. Monday, you guys lost to the Sixers. And then Wednesday, you also lost to the Sixers. But that one was in an overtime loss. And then Friday, you won against the Kings. So let's break down that little back-to-back series with the Sixers and talk about what happened.
So I'm really happy how we played against the Sixers. Oubre had 35 points and PJ Washington had 16 points off the bench. And this was without LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Mason Plumlee, or Jalen McDaniels, which Ball and Rozier are big time pieces on our team. And only losing by 3 when not having those two is just speaks forward to our team next man up mentality. And it stinks we lost, but I knew it was going to be tough. But I honestly thought we were going to get blown out even by more. But I'm really happy how my Hornets played. And then the next night we lost by 4. Hayward had 31 points. Oubre had a double-double and Bridges at 20. And Hayward is playing all right this year. Oubre is playing great off the bench or starting. Guy Manley's coming off the bench when the others are healthy. And then Bridges, like I've said in past carousels, he's most likely, if not the leading candidate to win most improved player.
Absolutely agree. Now, and both of these games were incredibly close. The first one was 127 to 124, and Oubre stood out that night as the top performer with 35 points. And then Wednesday, also another very close game, 110 to 106, and that one went to overtime. Hayward had 31 points, Oubre had 22. So we've seen that combination there really just kind of stand out. And it's looking like Hayward has been able to at least stay healthy for 1/3 of the season so far without any glitches. And then hopefully you guys will be able to continue with that. Now on Friday, you guys did beat the Kings. You had 124 to 123, and we saw the emergence of your number one draft pick in Book Knight, who had a great night.
That was a crazy game to go to. I tell you what, that was a fun one. If you haven't watched the highlights, it was crazy because near the end of the game, Cody Martin went up for a layup and he got fouled and made the shot. But then they reviewed it and they said he was not in the act of shooting. It was on the floor, so he had 2 free throws, missed one, made one. Kings had no timeouts. They ran up the court. De'Aaron Fox got fouled. I'm like, great, we're going to lose this one, lose 3 straight. This is not going to be good for our team. And he actually missed 2 free throws, which was crazy. But like you said, Book Knight had a crazy good game. And he's had limited minutes for us because I don't know why he's not an integral part of our rotation, but he had 24 points and he was 6 for 8 from 3 off the bench. Bridges at 23 points, Oubre at 22. But I can see from here on forth that Book Knight will get more and more minutes. Not be a starter, but will definitely have more minutes coming off the bench. So I was really impressed how he played. And also, our other rookie, JT Thor, I think had like 7 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 blocks. And yeah, the young guys showed out. And what more can you say?
Absolutely. No, excellent performance by him. I know that was something, just a memory you take home in your rookie season like that, there was a game where you were the top performer. You guys are going to have a really busy week this week, and it's looking like the game against my team is probably going to be your easiest game. Monday tonight, you guys have the Mavs, and that's going to be at 8:30 Eastern. Wednesday, you have my team, the Spurs, at 8:30 Eastern. Friday, you have Portland at 10 Eastern, and then Sunday, you guys play at the Suns at 8 Eastern, and all of these are on the road.
Yeah, I personally think we can go 3-1 or 2-2. Dallas, I'm actually really not concerned about.
Okay.
That may sound crazy to some people, but Luka Doncic isn't playing.
Oh, he's not
Willie
playing.
Cauley-Stein is injured. Yeah, Luka, I just read reports. He's going to be out a few games because his ankle injury is not that great.
Okay.
We're going to have Rozier back that game, so hopefully Rozier will spark a lot of more scoring. Spurs, I think, like you said, is our easiest game. Trailblazers could go either way. I think if we can – no offense, they're one-dimensional. They don't have C.J. McCollum. They have Dame. The only tough game I'm really scared of is Phoenix, and because they have – I know they don't have Booker because he's injured. They've still got Chris Paul. They got Mikal Bridges. They got great role players. They got DeAndre Ayton. So if I had to guess, we're going to either be 3-1 or 2-2 by the end of this week. And I can't wait for the others to come back and hopefully trend to a higher seed in the playoffs.
Right. And you guys are currently sitting at 8th right now. And anywhere from 4 to 10 is just really similar records in the East right now. So that could change drastically either way, just depending on how your week goes.
It can change in one night. I think I saw like a few nights ago, 4 through 8 was separated by like 1 or 2 games. And then the next day, boom, switched. Like it's insane. It's the NBA.
Right.
Anything can happen. It's crazy.
And I love that it's the East this year. It's been a while since we've seen them be this competitive.
Yes. And I'm very happy the East is finally showing that they're not the little brother anymore. They're ready to fight.
Right, yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Will. Let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you, and we will see you back next week.
I want to say first off, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone. I will not be on the show next week. I'm unfortunately out of town. But I will probably be on the week after talking about the Hornets. So happy holidays to everyone. Also, you can find me here on Monday nights, as usual. You can find me here on the Gauntlet hosted by James Tatum and the Sip Off hosted by Megan Price.
Thank you so much, Will. We will see you week after next.
Yes.
All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and move over to our next rep. We have Jordan Long covering the Phoenix Suns. Hey, Jordan.
Hey, Megan. I'm good. Pretty light week for the Suns this week. So
indeed. And you guys are sitting at number 1, and you have a record of 21-4 right now. Like you said, it was kind of a light week for you guys. You had the Spurs on Monday, and then you had the Celtics on Friday. Against the Spurs, it was a pretty close game, 108-104. And we saw CP3 have a good night. And then on Friday against the Celtics, it was 111-90. And JaVale McGee was your top performer that night. Let's start with the Spurs and just your takeaway from that game.
Well, we went up 79-70 in the fourth quarter. Obviously, the Spurs made it a bit closer than we wanted to, 34-29. Still found a way. Booker is still out with a hamstring injury. Like you said, Chris Paul led the way, 21 points and 10 assists. Landry Shamet is actually taking the place of Devin Booker, and actually he's been pretty good in the starting rotation with 11 points. I will say our bench actually came out and helped us. 37 points from them, 34 for your Spurs. But I will say it was a pretty close game if you look at the stats. I mean, other than the outscored in that quarter, if you take away the fourth quarter, there should have been a much closer game than it should have been.
Definitely.
What I mean by that is the Suns should have won this game big. But hey, you know what? The Spurs had some fight in them.
Definitely. Still a scrappy team, even though we're going through growing pains this season. But Then the game against Boston was a bigger deficit there. And really, sometimes you see the Celtics, they come in and they come in real dominant, but when you see them being real dominant, it's against a team like the Lakers. And so, when they play a top tier team such as you guys or Golden State or maybe even the Nets and Milwaukee, these are the type of scores we see them put up. So I still say that Boston is having a little bit of trouble just finding exactly where they are and who they are since they've had this coaching change and a few problems in the locker room. But what was your takeaway from this game?
Really, if you look at it, I mean, yeah, we won 111-90, but what really helped us, and I've talked about this on the show, is we had to defend the arc, and that's what we did. We nailed 14. They only had 4. Plus, we were great on the boards. We didn't give them very many second chances, 53 to 46. Difference, though, was the assists. We were better moving the ball. We had 25 to their 13. So really the ball movement was the difference in this game. They didn't really have much ball movement as we did. And of course, we have Chris Paul, one of the best point guards in the game to, set up those plays.
Most definitely. You guys are going to have a little bit busier week this week. You're going to double up on the amount of games that you played compared to this past week. Tonight, you guys are going to be playing the Clippers at 10:30 Eastern. Tomorrow, you guys are going to be playing at Portland. Both of these games are away games, 10 Eastern. And then you go back home Thursday and play the Wizards. And then on Sunday, you play the Hornets. What do you believe is going to be your toughest game this week? And what do you expect your record to be?
I'm going to have to say it's really hard to beat LA in LA and then go on the road to Portland. We know Portland isn't the team of the years past, but they still have Damian Lillard. They still have Yusuf Nurkic down below. But you've got to look at Monday or today with the LA Clippers. They have Paul George and Reggie Jackson, still two of the best perimeter players in the game. You still got to watch them. You can't have them shoot the threes. Honestly, I'm expecting a 3-1 record just because you have to play back to back. It's hard to go from LA to Portland. Washington, I mean, they're good, but I think they haven't played their best yet, but they're still one of the better teams in the East. And then you're looking at Charlotte that Will just talked about. They're a pretty good game with LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward. But I still think 3-1 is good. 2-2 I would take as well.
Awesome. And now we saw you guys get off the win streak this past week. How concerned are you with that as far as just team morale? Do you feel like it's less pressure now, not having to deal with beating a franchise record or keeping the streak alive? Now, is it more game to game that you worry about, or are you looking at the long run?
We're still looking at the long run. Golden State is still the number one team. We're trying to beat them to be the number one team. I mean, we're going to take it game by game. Of course, the pressure is off that we don't have to do a long winning streak. What I'm worried about is, if we get down a little bit and have a long losing streak. But with Chris Paul, I don't see that happening. So I'm going to say day to day, but the long term is we want to be the number one seed. We want to have home court throughout the Western Conference playoffs.
Most definitely. Well, Jordan, good luck on your games this week, and let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Thank you, Megan. You can find me here on the NBA Carousel doing the Phoenix Suns and sometimes the Denver Nuggets. You can find me on the NFL Carousel on Thursday nights. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsScoop1. Of course, I write a blog Monday through Fridays at sports-scoop.com.
Thanks, Jordan. We'll see you next week. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and slide over to our next representative. We have Steve Shawanda covering the Golden State Warriors. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Megan, how you doing?
I'm doing really, really well.
Good.
I see you got your Bay gear on.
Yeah. We're we have trying to up Cool's game. We have multiple props.
Love
tonight
it. Love
with
it.
the jersey and the shot glass and the hat. Yeah. And we just went to halftime, so this is perfect timing. It's like you knew. You're just that good, Megan. That as soon as the game goes to halftime, you guys. Yep, just went to halftime and you come to me. So that's just perfect timing. But how are you doing? First of all, let's get the important stuff out of the way.
I'm doing really well. Spurs had a couple of wins this past week, so it wasn't just completely devastating. Even though even though we got knocked off our little win run. But and then it's still Victory Monday as a Cowboys fan. It wasn't pretty, but our defense saved us, and that's just kind of random
with bringing in their own Cowboy benches and
I loved it.
Up big, and then they held on a little bit, but
right.
Yeah, and me, I had a Giants were 7-7, and then it was like 28-7 before we even could breathe. But
no.
It's just that kind of season. Well, that kind of season. It's been that kind of 5 years for the Giants. But.
Definitely, and just hate to hear the news about Daniel Jones. Hopes that he's able to come back in better health. But jumping into Golden State,
let's talk about Steph Curry.
All right, so we've all been on Steph Curry watch.
Yep.
He's going to beat the Ray Allen holding the most amount of threes.
Yep.
And how many threes is he away now?
He's now 5 away. He's hit 2 so far in the first half.
Okay.
Has forced it a little bit. He's 2 for 7 in the first half from 3. A couple of forces. Truthfully, you got to give credit to the Pacers defense. There's a lot of times where guys will miss open threes and be like, "Oh, their defense is really good." Like, no, they just missed an open look. Like, it happens, right? But the Pacers are, and they've actually been good against the 3 all year if you look at statistics. But they've been really forcing, obviously Steph, but really the whole team. They're really guarding that 3-point line. So inside the paint is an area that the Warriors can take advantage of. Though, of course, you got Miles Turner and Sabonis in there too. So they do have some defense in the paint too. But yeah, so he forced a little bit. He missed his first 4, I think. Yeah, he missed his first 4. Then he finally hit 1. And then they kind of got going a little bit. Pacers actually had a nice little run going in the start of the second quarter. And then the Warriors settled down a little bit. They are down 55-47 at halftime. The Pacers are up. But yeah, he's 5 away. Obviously, if it doesn't happen tonight, it's going to happen tomorrow night at the Garden, which probably would be cooler anyway. Do it at Madison Square Garden, at the Mecca of basketball. So either way, it's going to happen, tonight or tomorrow. And it does need to happen because forgetting in all this team is still 21-5. This is not a team that's in last place and we're just wanting to. Let's force as many, Steph Curry threes as we can. And you're still trying to win games. You're 21-5. They're now in second place, obviously. They lost a tough one to Philly the other night. Obviously they have the Knicks tomorrow night after the Pacers tonight. They have Boston Friday before they finish up with Toronto next Monday before they go home against the Kings. So this is a really, really important stretch of games here this next week or so. So you can't just say, hey, we're just going to have Steph Curry shoot 15 threes a game until he makes his 5. You need to play a lot smarter basketball than they've been playing. So you really, for the good of them, you just need to get this over with so we can move forward. Obviously it's going to happen. If not tonight, it's going to happen tomorrow, worst case scenario, Friday in Boston, but obviously it's going to happen. And in way less games, Ray Allen's 29-73 was in 1,300 games, where tonight is Steph's 788th. So that really puts it into perspective from 788 games to 1,300 games. Obviously puts it in perspective, but it also shows how different the game is now. Obviously every team shoots way more threes. They did. I think we talked about this on a carousel, I think last year, where the season before Steph Curry entered the league, the team that shot the most threes a game would be 27th right now in the NBA. That's a huge difference, obviously. So, obviously it just shows you how different the game is. But yeah, 1,788 games for Steph tonight, updated. And then obviously 1,300 for Ray Allen. But, this is, like I said, though, this is a big stretch for the Warriors. So they really do need to play better than they have been tonight. They seem a little distracted, and it's interesting if you're not watching the game. One of the officials was a close contact, so they actually only have 2 officials. Which, anybody who's ever coached at like a middle school or high school level, 2 officials and 3 officials is a big difference. So think about it in the NBA, where you only have 2 officials now instead of 3 officials. So Draymond picked up an early technical. He wasn't happy with the no call. Then Steve Kerr got an early technical like 2 minutes after because of the no call. So they just kind of have to, get it out of their system here a little bit. And I expect them to probably in the beginning of that third quarter to maybe try to set the tone a little bit here. Because obviously this is a game that you have to win. The Pacers are talented, but they've been struggling. So obviously this is a game that you have to win. The first night of a back-to-back, so Iguodala is not playing tonight, but still you gotta get the win. They have enough, talent, obviously. But yeah, we are all on Steph Curry watch, and we're all waiting. So yeah, I thought I'd break out the jersey tonight and hope that it happens tonight.
And so we've also been on Clay watch. Is there any news on how soon we're going to see him?
Yeah, I mean he's still practicing with their G League team. I still want to say D League team, but it's the G League now. It catches me every time. So he's still practicing with them. He's been cleared for contact. Like he's playing up and down with them. So I gotta think. I don't think they're gonna do it, because they do play. I think they play Lakers Christmas Day. I know they play someone. Yeah, I believe it's the Lakers. I know they have a big game Christmas Day. I couldn't remember if it was the Nets or the Lakers. But I don't think it's going to be like that. But I would think the next week, so early 2022, I think is when you see Clay and Wiseman probably soon thereafter too. And obviously that's a big deal because we all just want to. Again, we talked about this the other week. We just want to see like what he has.
Definitely.
He doesn't have to be what he was 2 years ago. Even if he's 60% of that, it's still and it helps Steph so much when you have another shooter like that. So because that's the thing. Every time, basically, they need to stop setting ball screens for Steph because every time you set a ball screen, he's getting trapped. So they're trapping him on every ball screen. So when he doesn't have the ball, he's a very good screener. So he's got to set more back screens and then come off of down screens. That's what he needs to do, which he does very well. And he needs to do more of that because every single time, not just tonight, every single time he sets a ball screen or someone sets a ball screen on him right now, they're going to trap it. And unless there's a defensive breakdown, the first three he had tonight it had to be a defensive lap by Sabonis. Was just a simple dribble handoff, and Sabonis was standing out by like the half court or the free throw line while his defender did a dribble handoff to Steph. So Steph just came right off that dribble handoff and knocked down a three. So, unless you're going to have a defensive lapse like that, he's not going to get that open just off a simple dribble handoff. So, a lot more back screens from him and then coming off down screens is what they need to do. I expect them to do that. I still kind of have a feeling that he's going to get like 4 in the second half and be like either one away or tied after tonight and then break it tomorrow night at the Garden. I just think it would be a cooler story to do it at the Garden. So, and it's going to be on TNT. Be on TNT tomorrow night. I assume Reggie Miller's probably going to be doing the game or something. So I just think it make more sense.
It definitely does. And we will all be on Steph Curry watch until that happens. And good luck on your games this week. I know it's a bit of a tough schedule. Definitely all of them being on the road like that definitely adds to the level of difficulty. But good luck on those games and just let everyone know where they can find you and where they can follow you. And we will see you back next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Right here on the NBA Carousel every Monday night with, as they say, the hostess with the mostest, Megan Price.
Thank you.
And then on Twitter, All Eyes on You. The letter U, All Eyes on You is Hoops. All Eyes on You Hoops, the easiest place to find me on Twitter. Flagrant Friends, the NBA podcast will be starting soon. Again, for season 2, right after my Perched on the Gridiron football podcast, which you can find anywhere you get your podcasts. Yeah, I mean, we're stuck in Warriors right now, obviously with Steph Watch, but sometimes we talk Wizards, sometimes we talk Nets, sometimes we talk Warriors. We talk whatever needs to be done.
Absolutely. And I'm sure we'll be talking about these Wizards pretty soon.
Yeah, they're still hanging in. They're hanging in.
Definitely. Thanks, Steve. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Megan. Have a great week.
You too. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and slide over to our next rep. We have Cool McCain covering the Milwaukee Bucks and the Denver Nuggets this week. Hey, Cool.
Hello. I want to first say thank you, Stephen, for having me on your mind. I feel special.
Right, yes. He said he brought the props. He knows how you do it.
No props this week, Steve. So sorry to disappoint you, bud.
That's all right. All right, so let's start with Milwaukee first. You guys are second in the East, and you're 8-10 right now. Monday, you guys won against the Cavaliers, 112 to 104, and we saw Giannis put up 27 points and 12 boards. What were your thoughts about this game?
Business as usual for Giannis.
Absolutely.
To
Then
be
on
honest.
Wednesday, yeah, right. Then Wednesday, we saw you guys lose to the Heat, which is a team that I know you and I have both been keep our eyes on as being considered a pretty tough team. We saw Drew be the top performer that night with 27 points. Any thoughts on that loss?
Well, it's exactly what I expect from the Heat team. They're a very gritty defensive team. They have some young guys who can get out and run, but they have a lot of good veterans. They did put PJ Tucker on Giannis for portions of the game, got him in foul trouble. Giannis likes to kind of dip the shoulder, and PJ Tucker loves to kind of accentuate that, we'll say, when he's contacted. So they did a good job of keeping Giannis in foul trouble and kind of minimizing his ability to do what Giannis wants to do, but still had a chance. But I mean, you're not going to go undefeated in the season. Miami's a good team. It's hard to beat them 3, 4, 5 times in a season. So not surprised at all that we, caught the one loss of the week there.
Absolutely. Then, like you said, you guys won against the Rockets on Friday, 123 to 114. We saw big time Giannis numbers that night. We got 41 points and 17 boards.
They have no one that can handle Giannis on that team.
Correct. Yeah, definitely agree.
And it's just it's just.
And then we saw a pretty dominant win on Sunday against the Knicks, 112 to 97. Thoughts on that game?
The versatility of the roster, where you get a lot of plays from different people in the roster. It's not necessarily always points because they are replacing the defense that PJ Tucker took with him to Miami. So you kind of get some of that from guys as well. A lot of hustle, a lot of heart, and just some grit. So just excited to see that they're just kind of putting everything together. And, they're kind of playing it end of the season form now. So hopefully they don't peak too soon and then, start going downward. But they're playing really good basketball now. They're back kind of where you expect them to be. Chicago's still right in that race as well, too, kind of like that top 3. So not discounting them at all, but this is the defending champs. I mean, they should be at the top. They didn't have any major.
And real quick, before we move on from Chicago, Tyler's not on this week. I'm our Chicago rep, but we did have some news this week with the Bulls, and that they had to miss 2 games. One of them tonight, I think, against Detroit. And then there's other game because they have 9 people on the COVID list currently. So I think the only person they really have available is Vucevic, and that's because he had COVID last month. So they're having a tough time with the COVID in Chicago. But go ahead and finish what you have to say about Milwaukee.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that the biggest thing is they just have to continue to play that way and not let themselves go down or not continue to treat every game like it's the game they need to win to clinch the playoffs.
Right, absolutely.
And before we go on, Big Bucks news, your favorite Buck will be back Wednesday. Dante DiVincenzo.
Oh, DiVincenzo.
He'll be back on Wednesday.
Awesome. Good. I'm really glad to hear that. We haven't seen him play since April last year?
Yeah,
was it April?
He's been practicing with the team for a couple of weeks, and now they think he's kind of at that point where he can actually play in the game. So
awesome. Glad to see him back. And I know this will do something for that bench depth. Every time he comes off the bench for you guys, those bench points that he has, he's a deadly 3-point shooter. And as we can see that's a very important, integral part of the game now. So 3-point shooting will definitely help you guys. Monday or tonight, you guys are playing the Celtics currently.
Mm-hmm.
That game started, is about to start.
No, it's already started.
Okay. Then Wednesday, you guys play the Pacers. Friday, you play at the Pelicans. And then Saturday, you finish up your week with the Cavs. What is the score currently against the Celtics?
So the score currently against the Celtics, it's actually tied right now, 45-45.
Okay.
With 1:39 left in the second quarter.
Okay, good game. Very competitive game at this point in time. So what do you believe is going to be your toughest game this week? And why is it the Celtics? I mean, maybe the Cavs, but I feel like the Celtics.
No, it's definitely the Celtics game tonight. It's definitely. Okay. Now, Indiana could be tricky just because of trying to reintegrate DiVincenzo in, and kind of, that's going to kind of affect the minutes and kind of affect roles a little bit, because you think about guys like Rodney Hood, Wesley Matthews, some of those guys, they may lose some minutes to DiVincenzo now. So it may change how they play, how effective they are. Pat Connaughton may not get as many minutes as the 3-point guy, which I hope does not change, but just, looking at ways that it could impact things. So it'll be interesting for that one. But I think if we're looking at the most difficult game, you have to say Boston, because Boston can go out there and score 20 points the rest of the game or score 100 points the rest of the game. It just depends on how they're playing that particular day. They're very erratic, which makes them even more dangerous because you don't know who's going to be the guy that night.
Absolutely agree. And I mean, as we all know, they have somebody on their team, and Jason Tatum, who has the ability to drop 50 to 60 a game at times, or he's had those games like that. Even though Marcus Smart is an excellent shooter as well, and Jaylen Brown, it's that difference maker right there in Jason Tatum. So, like you said, you never know exactly who you're going to get when you play Boston. And I do think the Cavs are going to be an interesting game. It's a home game for you guys, though. It was a team that has just really, really surprised me that they have played through their injuries and still maintained like a top 6, top 7 position. I really thought the Wizards were going to be the team that stayed on top of their steam a little bit more. And it seems like it's going to be the Cavs that are still maintaining that steam and probably going to make a playoff appearance.
Well, here's the thing. The Cavs are going to be a good team, but honestly, the physicality with which Milwaukee plays, I'm not sure if Cleveland's ready for that as of yet. So that's why I think that's not going to be as difficult a game as Boston. But it's not a cupcake game at all. I mean, I don't think any of the games this week are true like cupcake games.
Right.
But there are opportunities to get some wins. There's an opportunity to go, 4-0 this week if we can get by Boston tonight. There's an opportunity to go 2-2 this week as well. Right. So it's just a matter of making those plays, being physical, and hopefully slowly reintegrating DiVincenzo back into the lineup and not trying to give him too much too fast, because there's enough there that even without him, we won a championship. I mean, obviously having him back is like a cherry on top of your whipped cream sundae, but you still had a sundae even without him. So
right. Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and slide over to the Denver Nuggets, who had a little bit of a better week than they had the past couple of weeks. They still lost a couple games, but they won a couple of games. Monday, they lost to the Bulls 109-97. Wednesday, we saw them win against the Pelicans 120-114. Thursday night, in the start of their Spurs series, they lost 123-111. But then Saturday, they turned right around and beat San Antonio 127-112. So we saw the return of we saw Morris be the lead scorer that night against the Bulls in that loss with 19 points. We saw Barton also have 19 points. Then on Wednesday against the Pelicans, it was actually an overtime game, and Joker balled out with 39 points, 11 assists, and 11 rebounds. Talk to me about that game, especially with it being an overtime game.
So this is what we have in Denver right now. We have a couple of guys who are pretty consistent, a lot of young guys who highs and lows. Faucio Campazzo has been playing really well, attacking the basket, being aggressive, getting points, helping out. Obviously, we go as Jokic goes. If you look at wins and losses, you can see the difference in what Jokic can provide in certain games. Without Jokic, it's very difficult. When he's playing well, he's able to facilitate. He's able to get rebounds. He's able to get timely blocks sometimes. He's able to do a lot. So some of these other guys just have to be more consistent, and that comes with playing. Like guys like Highland haven't played a lot. We also don't have Dozier. He's out as well. So a lot of guys that would be getting minutes are just not there. So, again, there's no magical guy that's going to come flying in to save them. They're just going to have to continue to grow, to continue to fight and get better. And that was a good win for Denver because they were able to come back, get into that game, get it to overtime, and then go ahead and finish things off in overtime. Obviously, it was the Pelicans. The Pelicans are without a very important key piece to their team as well.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, you take every win you can get in the NBA, especially when you're fighting at 500 and barely hanging on to the 8th spot.
Absolutely agree. And one thing that actually I saw in this past week for you guys that was something that we addressed the last time we talked about the Nuggets, so 2 weeks ago, was that you wanted Aaron Gordon to step his points up and be more aggressive with that. Now, we're not going to see him most nights. He's not going to have more points than Joker. except for in that loss against San Antonio. He actually was the top scorer that night. But with 25 points in that game, and in the other games, we saw him still at probably about 20 points, 22 points. Like, we saw him really kind of step it up from a 13-point score, 15-point score, and taking it to the next level. So that was something positive to take out of that. And then on the win against San Antonio on Saturday was extremely dominant. One thing that I like to shout out about Joker is that, while we love the amount of points that he puts up and the rebounds that he puts up, he's a big guy, so you expect him to be in the lane like that. He is also a facilitator. He gets a lot of assists.
He's always been the primary facilitator, honestly. Even when Jamal Murray's there, he's really the primary facilitator. And that's a skill that a lot of people don't give him a lot of credit for. Right. I don't think so. He's really, when you say a triple-double threat every night, he really is a triple-double threat every night, because he can step out, he can make shots, he can pass, he'll go down and rebound at times. We're starting to get more production off other guys when he's not in the game, so that we feel comfortable now taking him out for a 5-minute rest and allowing him to kind of get some rest now, where before it was kind of like, man, we can get him out maybe a minute or two and then we got to go right back. So now we're starting to get a little bit more comfortable with the second unit and the things that they can do and how they can play even when he's out of the game. So that's important as well, because we don't want to wear him down to the point where he's susceptible to injury from needing to play too many minutes. Right. So I think Denver's doing a lot of things good. Still kind of questionable with some of the rotations. I think certain guys need to play more together. Certain guys need to maybe shift their role on the team and shift who they're playing with and how they're playing. Some guys need to be more aggressive. But I think overall, we're starting to see them trend a little bit more up, or at least even. 2 and 2 weeks, they're not great, but they'll suffice while we're figuring things out and trying to get some of these other guys to kind of move to the next level. And definitely Aaron Gordon has played a lot better. The thing about Aaron Gordon that kind of still irks me, though, is there'll be a time where you really need him to make a play, and he'll not make the play, and then when he doesn't make the play, it's like, dude, who cares? Just go make the play next time. Right. So if we can get that little bit out, I think he can even get a little closer to 30 a game, and that would be more of a help for us.
Absolutely. So this week, we're going to see you guys play the Wizards tonight. Then Wednesday, you will be playing the Timberwolves. Friday, you will be playing the Hawks in Atlanta. And then you'll be playing Brooklyn in Brooklyn on Sunday. Obviously, Brooklyn's probably going to be your toughest game of the week. But one game that I want to highlight for you guys is going to be that Timberwolves game. That is somebody that is close to you seeding-wise. And it is a home game for you guys, but they're just kind of hot right now. Now, they're not necessarily, top 5 type of team, but they're not far behind, and they're pretty closely matched with you guys.
Well, I'll say this. This is not a good week. Denver, this is not a good week. I mean, the Nets are, a very good team. Great point guard play. That's the position that hurts us the most. The Hawks, great point guard play. That's the position that hurts us the most. The Timberwolves, really solid, good point guard play, and then the Wizards, good point guard play. So we're going against 4 teams that have solid point guards. And ever since the playoffs when Murray went down, that's been, kind of our Achilles heel. So it's going to be a tough week. I think Minnesota's a game that we have to win. We really need to beat Minnesota. We have to find a way to win 2 of these games this week. I can't sit here and tell you which 2, but we have to find a way to win at least 2 of these games this week.
Right, absolutely.
To kind of stay, to stay even. We got to stay at 500 for the week and 500 for the season to stay in the 8th spot. Beating Minnesota would be very helpful. Hopefully we may be able to catch Atlanta or Brooklyn kind of sleeping and not really taking us seriously and sneak one out on them. But, got to figure out a way to get some wins this week. 0-4 is not going to be pretty. Can't let that happen. So, we're just going to have to take it one game at a time, one play at a time, and, use that defense. One of the things that I will say about Denver is they're playing very aggressive on defense. They're way more into the defensive side of the floor, and I think you saw it in the 2 games that we played this week. Right. They're playing very good defense. They're really dialed in. I think Aaron Gordon and Jokic are setting that, that standard. Like, guys, we got to go ahead. We got to play defense. If we can't put up 130, 140 a game, then we can't let the other team put up 130 or 40 a game. Right. So we've got to do it on the defensive end. And I see a lot of guys buying into that side of the ball that I don't think previously have done that to the extent that they are. And then you got guys like Campazzo, Jeff Green are saying, okay, let me try to put up a few punts to help out as well. So you kind of getting that mix. And so far, it's at least 500 basketball. So got to be happy with that.
Absolutely agree. Well, thank you so much, Cool. Good luck on all your games this week, and let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you.
So I'm going to keep it real short and sweet this week. Y'all know I'm on here on Monday nights. On Thursday nights, you can catch me on the Sip Off. Friday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, placecolorsportstalk.com. Sip Off is around 8:15 Thursdays. I normally don't say that because we have a couple of other people on the Sip Off. I normally put it out there. And then you can follow me on Twitter, Cool McCain, Facebook, Cool McCain. Keep it light.
Thanks so much, Cool.
Champ Belt might be back next week. You never know.
Awesome. All right. We will see you next week for sure. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and slide over to our next rep. We have Chris, Couch Coach Powell, covering the LA Clippers. Hey, Chris.
Hello, Megan. How are you?
Well, I'm great. As a Cowboys fan, I'm great. I know it's a basketball show. It's an NBA show. But just real quick, you guys made it a really interesting game at the end of it right there. That last interception by Dak was just crucial. And you guys ran with it. Y'all, you know what I mean? Y'all ran with it. Y'all made it a really good game at the end. And it wasn't pretty, but glad we were able to pull out the W.
Yeah, those type of those type of situations, hey, you just throw it out and hopefully next week against Philly we'll take care of business and
right.
You guys in 2 weeks. So, yeah.
I was going to say, we'll see you again real soon.
Right.
All right, but moving over to your Clippers, you guys are maintaining the 5th seed right now. You're at 15-12, so you're right above 500 by 3 games. Tonight, you guys are going to be playing the Suns. Wednesday, you're going to be playing the Jazz. And Saturday, you're going to be playing OKC. But this past week, you guys played Portland. You won that game 102-90, and we saw PG be the top performer with 21 points and 8 rebounds. What were your thoughts on that game?
Just another workman-like performance for the Clippers. Obviously, with no CJ Dame, you still want to take advantage of those type of situations where Portland was short-handed, took care of business. Another one where we always talk about this team is back committee. We got guys that always step up, in certain spots. Marcus Morris, he did his thing. I think he had 17 in that game. Luke, he did his thing. Luke Kennard had 15. And he actually started that game. So that was his first start of the season. So he came out to play. So just one of those wins. Hey, it's a win is a win regardless of who's available, who's not available. So You'll take that,
Most definitely. Then you guys beat the Celtics 114-111. And we saw Boston Jr. be the top performer that night with 27 points. We don't always see him in the top performing aspect right there. So good for him to get a good game like that.
Yeah. And he only played 25 minutes. He had 27 points. So you look at that. That's another thing where he's another guy that's emerging. He's, obviously he's a rookie. He's one of those guys. It's funny about those Kentucky guys. It's something about them. It's like when it comes to league, it's almost like, I wouldn't say they underrated, but it's like, obviously he had a lot of fanfare coming out of high school, but then, seeing him kind of come into this fray, even at, a young age at 20 and doing what he's doing, he's, essentially he's buried in the depth chart as far as shooting guards, obviously behind PG and also behind Luke Kennard. So, for him to get a performance like that and coming off the bench is like I said,
extremely efficient with that. What you said, 25 minutes? So that's extremely
25
efficient.
minutes. Yep.
So you guys played the Magic on Saturday as well, won that 106-104. And that was a little bit of a closer game. We saw Jackson be the top performer that night with 25 points. What were your thoughts on that game, and especially with it being a close game like that?
Yeah, that's another one where, hey, you just, obviously not having PG in the lineup for that game. You took care of business. Obviously, Reggie Jackson hit the game-winning shot. That's another one where guys just step up. You look, Luke Kennard, 23 points in that game. Also, Reggie, 25. Terrence Mann even had a pretty good game. He had 16 in that game. So it's just one of those things where, like you said, even though Orlando is, you don't want those type of games when you're in that kind of a slugfest with the Orlando Magic, and you think to yourself, like, but hey, you'll take it. And, so, it's one of the things, hey, you just take the wins when you can, especially now this 3-game win streak, because we were kind of like on that 500 bubble. So it's kind of one of those things, hey, kind of give you a little breathing room, because this is a week that we might have to, pack our lunch and dinner, because it's going to be kind of a rough week potentially.
Like tonight, you guys are playing the number 1 seed in the Suns, and then you turn right around and you play the Jazz, who are the number 3 seed. So both of these teams are above you seeding wise, and could actually change your ranking pretty quickly. Now the West isn't necessarily as competitive this season, so I think like at the number 8 position or the number 9 position, they're not at 500. So you have some cushion because you are above 500 by 3 games, but these two, like you said, with the Suns and the Jazz, that's tough. Which one do you expect to be a tougher game? Because the Jazz game is in Utah. Yeah,
that's going to be another one. That's good. And I think probably more so is going to be the Utah game. Obviously, you're going to be in Utah. They're at full strength. And coincidentally, they were, I seen them play the Wizards, and they looked phenomenal. I think that was Saturday night, and they looked like all cylinders are just going with Utah. So they're another kind of scary team. And then Phoenix also too, even without Book in the lineup. So you kind of, it's still, they still kind of, doing their thing. Even hell, JaVale McGee is almost he balled out against
such
Boston,
a great pickup for them. Like the way he fits with them.
Yep.
Like we saw him with Denver. We saw him with the Lakers. Like, I mean, where was he? Did he go to Philly after the Lakers, and then Denver picked him up halfway through the season? I think that's how that went. And he didn't quite fit in with any of those rotations other than the Lakers. Like he had some time with the Lakers where he kind of fit in with that rotation. But with Phoenix, he looks awesome over there. Like he absolutely anytime DeAndre Ayton isn't working out, they can just throw in these fresh legs and JaVale McGee, and he's really showing out. So that is tough.
Yep. Yeah. So those are the two, obviously, I think Phoenix, and then the biggest question mark is PG availability. I think he's doubtful for tonight. So hopefully his stats can upgrade, by the time Wednesday roll around. With the right elbow contusion, which they call it a sprained elbow.
It happens. My daughter plays volleyball. It happens. Definitely. All right, Chris. Well, thank you so much. Let everyone know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and good luck on your games this week.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Once again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram on the Couch Coach Live. Also, the Couch Coach Live podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, you name it. Also here on the NBA Carousel, and then also the NFL Carousel as well on Thursday nights as well. So, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Chris, so much. We'll see you next week.
All right. Take care. All right.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We're going to slide over to our next rep. We have Jay Nelson covering the Houston Rockets.
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
Doing good over here.
All right. So you guys are sitting at number 13 in the West. You're 8-18. You guys won against Brooklyn on this past Wednesday, 114-104. And we saw Eric Gordon show out during that game. What were your thoughts on that game?
I know, there was no KD. I actually was kind of disappointed when I saw the notification come over that they were going to sit him and everything. But they still had James Harden. I mean, you know how the Nets have been hyped up and everything. When one's not there, the other can take over. That's why I still say, even Kyrie's out, so let's call it what it is now. Right now, it's pretty much Harden and KD. But you still got two men who can drop 40 on you at the drop of a hat.
Right.
Harden had a double-double. He had 25 and 11. But all 5 starters for Houston were in double figures. That's the type of stuff that's going to win you games. Christian Wood, of course, he had 12 points and 15 rebounds. I will also say this much, too, is if the Houston Rockets are going to send one player, if they would have sent one player to the All-Star game, it's going to be Christian Wood.
Right, yeah.
It's going to be Christian Wood. This dude has a double-double every game, if not every other game. You know what I mean? But Eric Gordon had 21. Of course, he's kind of the de facto captain right now. Matthews had 19. Christopher had 18 points off the bench. So I'm seeing the bench come alive like a little more and more and everything. And, in this game, it's always about how deep your bench is, especially when I'm not saying the Rockets are going to the playoffs, but when playoff time comes along, it's the deeper team wins, especially off the bench. But this is the type of stuff that that the Houston Rockets are working on, and it's a bit of a slow process, But I was glad to get the win over the Nets. That actually should be. Because out of the 7-game winning streak, the Nets were the only one who were a contender. So this should boost the confidence of all the young players on that squad. So I thought that they pulled out a great win.
Absolutely. And then Friday, you guys ended up snapping your win streak. You lost to the Bucks. At least it's the reigning champ right there. And you guys didn't get blown out. It was a 9-point deficit right there. It was 123 to 114. And we saw Garrison Matthews be the top performer that night, point-wise, with 23 points. What were your thoughts on that game?
We hung tough with the Bucks. It's just like I've been saying for previous weeks. It's like Houston easily could have like 12, 13 wins right now.
Right,
if we would just learn how to finish games, because we hung tough with the Bucks all the way through. Now, Cool was right. We currently don't have anybody on the squad that can stop Giannis. He went off for 41. Yeah. You know what I mean? It is what it is. He's going to get his in. We just have to make sure that we slow everybody else down. Again, like you said, it was only a 9-point loss. Wood had 21 and 13, Matthews had 23 and 4. But at least, and I know it's disappointing, but at least a loss like that will not saying that Houston needs to be humbled, but it keeps you bright for the future. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we hung tough with these guys. Yeah, Giannis scored 41 and we still almost won. So,
right, yeah.
That's still a lot to take home, but Houston's going to be all right. They're going to be just fine.
Right. I agree.
The crazy part is the same things that we used to say years ago about the East is happening in the West.
Yes, it's so strange.
I looked it up the other day.
For all our teams to be like under 500, like the 500 teams start at like the 8th seed, I think.
Exactly. And I looked it up just the other day, and Houston is only like 4 games out of like the 6th seed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For a team that was 1 and 15 at one point.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, of course. Anything can happen, If by a lightning strike and Houston makes the playoffs or even makes the play-in tournament below 500, I'll take it.
Right. Heck yeah. So today you guys are playing the Hawks currently. That game started at 7:30 Eastern. Do you happen to know the score?
Well, last I checked, I think it was when Couch Coach was on. At halftime, ATL was up 69-58. Trae Young had 21, 4 assists and 2 rebounds. Eric Gordon's got 16, 1 assist and 2 rebounds. So, yeah, we're down 11, but it actually was much worse than that right before halftime. So Houston was starting to kind of make a little run, but maybe we could have a sudden surge in the second half. Right. Trae Young's pretty much going to get his. He's already got 21. He's on pace for 40,
Absolutely.
But can we slow down everybody else and steal one on the road at that? So right. I'm not giving up, hope or anything. It could be much, much worse, but being down 11 at the half to the Hawks isn't too bad of a thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. And then you guys play at the Cavs on Wednesday at 7 Eastern. Thursday, you play the Knicks at 8 Eastern. And then Saturday, you play in Detroit against the Pistons at 12 Eastern. What game do you think is going to be your toughest game this week?
Toughest one probably will be against the Knicks. I expect them to bring it. The Knicks have really been playing like they have a chip on their shoulder, like they got something to prove, especially after last year's playoff loss and Trae Young shutting up Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
they haven't forgotten that, So they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder all year, which means Houston may feel some pain. However, if we can hang with them, like we've hung with Golden State for 3 quarters, like we've hung with just said it, the Bucks. We can actually pull that one out. Cavs game, whew, believe it or not, the Cavs are a tiny bit better than what we thought they would be.
To me, I feel like they're probably – I didn't expect them to be as bad as they were last year. I knew they were going to improve, but I had no idea that they were going to be able to maintain where they're at this point. So I'm pretty shocked with the Cavs, to be honest.
Right. The Cavs-Rockets game might be a shootout. Okay. It may be a 5-point game either direction. Okay. Pistons game, they beat us that last time around. That one could go either way as well. Two equally young squads, one could see it as this is one of those somebody's got to win kind of game,
Right.
but definitely showcasing the young talent out there, which I'm all for. I actually do hope the Pistons actually get it together and become, contenders again and whatnot.
Absolutely agree.
But it starts with, and the same for Houston. It starts with winning the games that you're supposed to win, or the games that you have a shot at winning.
Absolutely.
I think Houston's biggest problem is closing the door, because we could sit here and we could what if and talk about, what could have been and whatnot. But I would still maintain that Houston should have 12 wins right now.
Right.
All
right, Jay. Well, good luck on your games this week, and let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you.
All right. Monday night's NBA Carousel, hosted by Megan Price and produced by JB Ellis. Shout out to him. Saturday nights, the Sports Gauntlet. We actually took a bye week last Saturday because two of ours were out of action, but we'll be back this coming Saturday. That's at 6:45 Eastern Standard Time. Also got the Sip Off, hosted by Megan Price, Jahan Phillips, and Anthony Brown, and that is on Thursday nights at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. So y'all please tune in, check it out. Also, I'm on Roku with Visual Dramatics. You can catch me on there with my live commentaries. Also, my newest cohort, Lacey O'Neal, is going to be with me doing some work, some journalistic work, and doing interviews and shooting scenes and everything from the practices of the Houston Heat, as well as game. Well, she should be playing as well. She's an all-pro defensive end, so she's wearing both hats, So, and also, y'all check out her interview on 806 Sports with Megan Price. It was fire. Shout out Craig Davis. Shout out Marshall Hill. Unconventional Kings fam. One love, y'all. See y'all next week.
Thanks, Jay. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
All right.
All right, guys. We're going to slide over to our next rep. And we had a good tee up right there. We have Dom DeRubis, Detroit Dom, doing the Detroit Pistons.
There you go.
Hey, Dom. How are you?
Oh, another winless week. We're 12 straight losses, creeping up on the 1 month anniversary of our last win.
Oh, man, that's tough. Yeah, you guys are still at 4 wins and you have 22 losses currently. Monday, you guys lost against OKC, which I thought was going to be obviously your easiest game of the week. Ended up not being. You guys ended up losing to the Wizards on Wednesday, 119 to 116, and that was an overtime game. Then on Friday, you guys lost to the Pelicans, 109 to 93. And then
thanks for all the reminders.
You are welcome. And Sunday, you lost to the Nets, 116 to 104. But I will say something that is a positive. You guys are finally learning how to use Cade. His points are looking really consistent, and he's starting to figure out that position that you guys have him at. So at least there's some positive coming out of this. What were your takeaways from these games?
Well, Monday against OKC, we blew a 16-point halftime. Third quarter lead, actually, as we're prone to do. Cade played well. I believe he led all of our scores. He had like 28 or so. At this point, he's definitely the focal point of our offense, even with Grant playing, and now Jeremy Grant is out, which I'm not that sad about, because
it might be a blessing in disguise. It's kind of like when D-Law got hurt and we just saw Parsons emerge. Mm-hmm. So, we'll just see how
we're not here to talk about the Cowboys, friend.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, for example, like,
shout out to you. Y'all won this week.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing when you see a different rotation come through like that. Shot time.
It was.
Well, you know what? After losing 4 in a week and per week,
four in a week, 4 in a week, 12 in a row.
Yeah, definitely. That's rough.
Good news is our next game against the Pacers is the last team we beat on November 17th.
Okay.
The Washington game, that was actually a good game. I was going to go to the game, and then for whatever reason decided not to. And then we're sitting there messing around with his TV. Like, I'm trying to screencast it from my phone onto his TV. We're trying to download different apps. We finally got something to work. So I saw most of the fourth quarter and overtime. And the one time Spencer Dinwiddie doesn't rip out our hearts and stomp on it, it's the Flint kid, Kyle Kuzma. with the corner dagger with 0.6 seconds left. He had a great game. I didn't realize till I looked just now. He led all scorers. He had like 5 or 6 threes. When he hit that 3 from the corner, I wasn't even mad.
Right. Well, the thing about Kuz is consistency. Like, he has the ability to do these. Like, we see these performances with him, even when he was in LA, with LeBron, he still had some of these games. It's just that he doesn't do them consistently. So not surprising.
I'm so happy for the kid to be away from LeBron, because LeBron was holding him back.
Absolutely agree. And it just Washington ended up being a much better situation for him, actually. So coming up, like you said, you guys play the Pacers on Thursday. Then Saturday you play the Rockets, and Sunday you play the Heat. So Rockets could possibly be a winnable game for you guys. They're struggling this year as well, but they recently went on a win streak, even though that was broken last week. It kind of gives you guys some hope that even as much as they were struggling, you guys are on kind of the similar tier, and you might be able to catch a little win streak right there as well.
Yeah, they've reeled off some wins. We beat them the last time. It was a great matchup between Cade and Jalen Green. Cade obviously got the best of him. I think Jalen Green's hurt now, isn't he?
Yes, he is hurt right now.
That's fine. We could win that game. Obviously, at this point, I would say, like I said, very similar teams, young teams with young stars, inexperience, sloppy defense, sloppy turnovers, can't hold leads. But, as of right now, I would say the Rockets are trending up, whereas we are trending, the same or down. But should be a good matchup. We've got the Heat after that. We lost to them once earlier in the year. I think we've actually got them Sunday and then again on Thursday. That Sunday game, I think, is at home, so I might have to go see my guy Buckets. I was just on StubHub looking for tickets.
Yeah, that is a home game for you guys. I would love to see Jimmy. Now, Jimmy didn't play some last week, so I'm sure he'll be back this week in full force.
He's getting older. He's one to go with the load management from time to time. I'm glad that he's in our conference now, because back when he played for Minnesota, I bought tickets to go, to see the one game that we play Minnesota at home, and he didn't play, and I was like, man, that kind of sucks.
Right. Yeah, I definitely enjoy Jimmy, but like you said, he's getting older, and he's such a presence on that team. Like, and not saying that they don't have other weapons that keep them afloat as well.
Oh, he's the glue.
Right, absolutely. The heart and the intensity that he plays with is necessary. So if they have to keep him on load management to make sure that he's still viable in the playoffs, it's understandable, in my opinion. I do have certain opinions about workload management, but those are usually motivated by Kawhi. So I'm not going to hold him to the same standard.
Yeah, I mean, Kawhi's no spring chicken either. But the Clippers have more, veteran star players to lean on. Like, if Kawhi's got to sit out one game, not as big of a deal as when Jimmy sits. And obviously the Pistons don't have those issues. I believe we've got one of the youngest, if not the youngest roster in the entire league. So we've got young guys that are hungry. It'll be interesting to see what happened. I don't know. I don't even know what Grant's injury is or how long he's out for, but I'm honestly a little bit excited about it, because I'm hoping we see him get traded before the trade deadline. Right. Obviously, I don't know what the trade would be for, draft picks, maybe some role players, but I just want to see who else could potentially step up while he's hurt.
Right, like, definitely.
We've got a pretty deep bench. Frank Jackson's been balling lately. I was cursing his name last year because he was going out there at the end of the year, just providing max effort, winning us a couple games, and he almost cost us that first round pick. And I'm like, man, someone stop this guy. But right. I mean, I get it. He was playing for a contract.
Right, definitely. Well, and I remember you thinking, like, we're going to have rotation problems if we get Cade, and then I'm so glad to see that that's worked out, even though, like, what you predicted came true, like, you guys didn't know exactly what to do with him at the time with Killian Hayes still available. But, you guys are starting to work that out. And I think that we're going to see you guys I don't know. I mean, we're not going to see you guys make the playoffs, but I think we could see you guys move into like a 13 seed. The East is tough this year, so I don't think we're going to see you in the top 10, but anything above 15 at this point in time is going to be an improvement, and you guys just got to take it one game at a time.
It's kind of like the Lions. I just want to see improvement as the year goes on and maximum effort. I'd like to see, like I said, the sloppy play on offense. I'd like to see the turnovers come down a little and stop blowing. I would like to assume by the end of the year, we're still going to blow some second half leads because young teams don't know how to close out games. Not trying to make a football reference again, but the Lions have done the same thing. When you have such a young team that's so inexperienced, they don't know what winning is like. So being in the lead, they're like, oh, what do I do with this? Here, I don't want this. Here, you take it.
Absolutely agree. Well, Dom, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck on your games this week, and let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Absolutely. You can catch me here on Mondays, NBA Carousel, hosted by you. No Tuesdays. We switched. Wednesday, Thursday. Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel, 7 p.m. Fridays. We are Lions Nation podcast. That's on YouTube. Saturday nights in the 7 o'clock hour, the Gauntlet Continues podcast, hosted by myself, Tyler Ingram, James Tatum, and Jay Nelson. And that's it.
Awesome. Well, good luck on your games. We'll see you next week, Dom.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Our next representative is going to be Jacob Christner, and we're going to have Jen Lewis interviewing him.
Well, Jen, what's going on?
What up, Jacob? How are you, my friend?
Oh, so you wanted to do the shock on me, huh?
I did. I wanted to give you a hard time tonight just because, I've been busy at work lately, so I can't do it in the chat.
So very nice, very nice. I was just thinking she wanted to end out that little thing in her hair, flip it around and become the Super Megan. She's got to get out and go do the superhero work.
Yeah, I figured I'd give Megan a quick break, just one time only.
Well, just the thing of, I was wanted to bring this part to it. As I was listening to Dom saying for a second about getting that first round pick.
Yeah.
And everything. Here's one of my biggest deals. I have gone through, in all sports, I've gone through both sides of the spectrum with the failures and the successes of the thing. Back in, just letting you know, right after the Celtics won the world title in '86, they had a guy named Len Bias. They got the number 2 pick, the world champion did, for some odd reason. That kind of stuff. Got the number 2 pick, got Len Bias. He died 3 days later.
Right.
Yeah, and then there was the history of that. Then
I swear you have eidetic memory for this.
Yeah. Then I was 8 years old too. but then the Bears. So been on the other side when the Bears end up winning 3 of their last 4 back in 98, 99. Which they had like 1 win going into December, and then guess who's number 1 pick? And that time, that was Peyton Manning. The Bears go down. That could have been a Bear. Yeah, but it was with the Bears would have picked a kicker probably, for all I know. But no, it's like I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I really don't trust drafts.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people do. They say, I want to get the number 1 pick. I don't trust unless I'm doing the picking myself. So,
yeah, exactly.
And then I think of Tom Brady in my lifetime, 6.
Exactly.
He goes 6th round. I don't trust it. I just go with who we play with, who gets there, and it is what it is. It's like there's a lot of people who goes for this first round. See what happens there? And I'm sorry if I'm holding off on the questions real quick. What happens when you trust all the time? When you're trusting this all the time, then you get angry, mad, boo, everything, no matter what sport it is, and they didn't pick who you wanted. And that's all that kind of stuff. It's like, I'd rather just go with the flow of it. I'd rather win them out.
Right.
No, I'd rather just go for the wins. I'd rather Dan and whatever. I'd rather whoever win them out myself. Just because what's the point if you're going to boo whoever's going for it in the first place in the war room? Whoever they do, because it wasn't yours.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I know in 2015, Ron Rivera even said he was glad when we lost to the Falcons. He said, I couldn't sleep on Saturday nights going into Sunday nights or on the night before a game day, wondering if that was going to be the game we lost. He said he was kind of relieved when they finally lost one game.
Right.
So, yeah, and that happens.
Yeah.
Well, tell me what's going on with the Kings this week. I've heard a lot of rumors about being interested in Ben Simmons, about just various players this week. What's going on there?
Well, one of the big things I was noticing, I was bringing up I think the Kings right now I like them a little better right now with Alvin Gentry. And I feel like that instead of a no half team, they're at least playing one half. Like a couple nights ago, they give up 81 points in the first half.
Right.
The first half to Cleveland. But the rest of the thing is like 36 points. So it's obvious he got on their ass.
Yeah.
It's obvious they played the second half regardless of whether they. But in the same time, they're also undisciplined, and they lose 124-123 because they missed 2 free throws. De'Aaron Fox misses 2 free throws, and it's like, from an old Larry Bird fan, I think that's unacceptable. I'm sorry, it's like I've seen him do that one time in my life.
Right,
missed it in the clutch. Maybe it's because he's one of the greatest free throws ever, but like to me, you're 15 feet away and you have no one guarding you. It should be 90% guaranteed.
Now, do you think they lost anything and or learned anything from their loss on Saturday night against the Cavs and how badly they allowed themselves to blow out in the first half?
Yeah.
And do you think they'll take those lessons into tonight's game against the Raptors?
You can't. It's a night-to-night situation. Remember, it's like regardless if you're on the road or at home, you're traveling. Well, unless you have like a 6-7 game homestand. Everything's game-to-game situation. It's like maybe they learned about defense a little bit, but then you got to remember you got soreness. It's the grind of the game to game. It's like I do think they respect Gentry a lot better, and I think Gentry is playing teacher right now with this team.
Gentry's been around. He's good. He's solid, and he should be playing teacher and mentor, and people should be listening to him. He knows what he's talking about.
Well, 67 years old, and it's like
again, he's been around. I was trying to be polite.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, it's the biggest thing. See, this is the biggest deal, really. It's like I think about teams like Houston. We were just talking about that. I saw that thing earlier. You deal with in all my opinion, when you know your team is supposed to be rough, and I've been a volunteer coach before. I'm working on coaching also, getting back and everything.
That's awesome.
And I'm working on I've been a coach before. I've been a tutor, mentor, everything. As a coach, I really, truly believe the best option if your team's going to be really that bad, go get a teacher. Go get, whether they are in their 60s or they're in their 30s. I really don't think Luke Walton's a teacher.
2 of my mentors in my personal life have both been at least 15 years younger than I.
Yeah.
You can't pick who's going to be your mentor. Your mentor kind of picks you, and it happens. The best mentors kind of do happen very organically, to use that buzzword.
I'm sorry about that. In truth, if he wasn't such a talker, like on the on the mic, and he didn't want to just keep on going and listen to himself all the time, I think Bill Walton would be a hell of a shot like that.
Right.
He's like 69 now, but he'd be a better teacher than he would be, because Bill Walton is one of those guys that he's the type that would have wanted to go to Eugene Debs and history and go to him and talk to Jerry Garcia and. Jerry Garcia, and obviously like that. And he called Larry Bird the Jerry Garcia basketball. And he loves using his mind. He loves learning all the time. As I said, if you were going to have a bad team, you might as well get a teacher. I think he'd be a great teacher if he could listen also as well as talk, because he has a lot more knowledge, I believe, in my mind than Luke does.
Fair enough. Now, what do you think the Grizzlies are, how they're going to do against the Grizzlies on Friday night, and the Spurs, the hostess with the mostest, Miss Megan Price's team on Sunday?
Let me tell you this. Speaking of teachers, they couldn't have a better one for the team that they got with Popovich.
Right.
So that. Oh
yeah.
You can't tell. One of the things they both have issues with is off and on, is being off and on. So I could see them both having at least 10 to 15 point leads, blowing it, go back to 10-15. I could see, and then in the fourth quarter get close.
Right.
As far as the Grizzlies go, Now, remind me just for a second, home or road?
Say that again.
Remind me, home or road, because I'm trying to.
Let me look real quick. I'm going to cheat and look at my cell phone.
Yeah, because I had the thing. I did. I had the Spurs in my head. See, I counted as such. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wait, they're going to be in Memphis.
See,
I was about to say Minnesota, by the way.
Right, but those West Coast games, when you're a struggling team or you're trying to learn how to win, those are now it's double tough to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's double tough to travel because this is not just simple travel like even 2-3 years ago.
Right.
So regulation, so much everything, so much, wearing the mask, so much to stop. Now you're going into the road. It's not just that anymore. So road games are now tough, not even just on veterans, but for kids.
Right.
So now you're learning. Now it's a double grind. So I think they're going to have trouble in the majority of their road games this year. As far as I like the idea of when they have their little home, like for instance, stay in California, like when they played the Clippers back to back, the Lakers, but are off and on. Lakers, Clippers, then you get, just going on, like it was like a whole 5-game California trip.
Right.
Stay in your end because you can go home every night.
Well, the Grizzlies are on a bit of a win streak right now, and they're pretty. I mean, I think what happened a couple of weeks ago, I forgot which player it was. I apologize. Who got attacked and got ejected, but he was like it was unnecessary. That really fired the rest of the players up to go out and show support. And it also brought to light everything we already know about the officiating this season, in my humble professional fan opinion. And Dylan Brooks.
The thing I would like to say about the players that are like I saw it the other night with KD and with Trey.
Uh-huh.
Something that reminds me of, I heard this from an old NBA player. He said it used to get fined by $5,000 and be done. $500 in the earlier days, $5,000 then, now it's $50,000. So now a fight is that you're thinking with your wallet now. You're thinking, and then your suspension, which is a game check. So here's the thing. I know you get frustrated. I know you get heated. That's part of competition.
Mm-hmm.
I would just want to tell the players, you're not the tough guy that these old days were. You're
right.
not allowed to be. Adam Silver wants to play lawyer. He wants to go in with the corporate people. He doesn't want the fights. He doesn't want to get any. It's the same as the old NASCAR racers. They don't want the same rough, tough stuff. It's a business now.
True.
To me, let's just knock it off. I know you get heated. Maybe you can go talk, but knock off the pretend tough guy stuff.
Right.
Because you can't do the same tough guy things of the old days, Maurice Lucas, the Larry Birds, the Daryl Dawkins in the days. You can't do that anymore and come back to the next game. It just risks too much now. So I would rather people just use their heat and then go on with the locker room, quit playing tough guy. Because you're not. It's not the same game.
Yeah. I get your point. I mean, I was pretty proud of Dylan for standing up for himself and calling out the officiating a little bit because
I'm just going both ways on that. I'm just going both ways. I mean, whether you're standing up for yourself, that's fine to stand up, but I'm talking about everybody playing tough guy, the ones that started, the one.
Oh yeah, some of the guys who try to play tough guy, they're not tough. Just sit down and hush up.
Yeah, well, yes.
And the only reason why I could respect what Dylan said is because when I was watching the video, it didn't come across as rude or aggressive. It was what's right or wrong. And there's a difference to me. Now, what do you think about who do you think will win against the Grizzlies?
Grizzlies, as you say, hot streak, and then I go by a different thought process than points, than doing stats. I go by the mind. And we're going to get near to the middle of the season, and it's already becoming a grind. And the planes and the travel starting to get tougher.
Right.
I'm going to say Grizzlies win by a blowout.
Okay. Now, what do you think about Sunday at home against the Spurs?
Like I said, to me, that's going to be both sides will have a 10-point lead, 10, 15-point lead. I really believe that.
A lot of turnovers.
Fourth, because both sides have that tendency, which this would irritate Pop and irritate an old guy like Gentry. It's like as much as you're working as a teacher to get these guys better, they have lulls. The great, I mean, Pop's looking back at old YouTube clips. I'm not going to say tape. He's going to go forward. He's looking back at old YouTube clips, just watching consistency of his old teams, and he wishes. But he had to remember that those teams had to learn how to be consistent too. And like everything is a learning process, and I believe both teams are just learning right now. I believe San Antonio has a better chance to make the play-in tournament than Sacramento does.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah, they're just due. It's like Pop always gets you a 5-6 game winning streak because he does.
Yeah. It's Pop.
Yeah, it's Pop.
Nobody can hate on Pop.
Yeah. I mean, he does. It's what he does, even if he has a thing. That's why I respect a Pop. I respect him better than I do a Kerr. And it's because Pop will find ways to win and get a respectable season out of like with the talent. Kerr, we talk about Kerr in this big time thing right now. The minute one of his big players goes down, one of his golden boys goes down, he'll have an 8-game losing streak. And it always happens. It's like, and it would have probably happened to Phil Jackson too. But it's like they can't win without their big boys.
That's true. Well, Jacob, tell everybody where they can find you. And thanks for letting me steal your interview from Miss Megan. I appreciate it.
It was an absolute pleasure. Well, right now I'm doing the carousel as you hear on Monday night, getting my segment stolen by Jen. Every once in a while on Tuesdays, I'm on the Snowman in the Morning, Brian Snow. Right now, don't have any other segments of the thing. Looking toward it right now, but then I'm also on Inscriber Magazine as a columnist, and I'm also on as the pundit's pundit. I'm also
awesome. And you do have some great stuff on Twitter and Facebook. So thanks for sharing, Jacob. I hope you have a great week.
Yeah, and enjoy my stuff on Twitter too.
Me too. I like talking smack to you.
Bye-bye.
All right, have a good one. Bye, Jacob.
Yep.
And I'm bringing Miss Megan back on, and I'm removing myself. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you so much for filling in, Jen. Thank you guys so much for watching the NBA Carousel. It's the Sideline Sports Network production, proudly sponsored by Score No Score app, available for download in Apple and Google Play Store. Also sponsored by Manscaped, and as mentioned by Jacob earlier, check out the Inscriber online magazine where you can get all your culture, technology, and sports news provided by Sideline Sports. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week.